So we're going to start. We got 78 last week. Haven't studied at all since we did the study stream last week, but let's see if we retained anything and if we can improve on the score. It's very clear that like post-flop out of position is where we need to do some review today because this is not great. Out of position post-flop. Here we go. Here's where we can fail. Raise pre-flop, call. They bet on the flop and ace king 6. We call. Oh, we're 13 blinds deep. We raise, actually. Theory is going to have us call because our range is dominated, probably. No, we raise. Raise and call. Okay, fine. 13 blinds deep. I don't think it really makes a huge difference here. Our range is super dominated. When it goes raise, call, we have a bunch of junk, right? We have all of that junk on the left. And then our opponent has not nearly that much when they can jam a bunch of hands this deep. So they don't have a lot of offsuit aces. But they do have some nutted hands, which we don't have because we'd go all in pre, right? We don't have any pairs. We don't have any ace 10 or better. We never have. So that's what's interesting about this. Anyways, next, ace 4, raise, 3-bet, call. Flop is king, queen, 7. So I think it's going to be bet and check. I want to check this hand some for sure. With the two broadways, this really hits their range. So I'm going to start with check more, but no. This is where we struggle. I guess my thinking in this spot, which is just broken, is that when I think about what parts of our range 3-bet this and are struggling on this board, it's like, yeah, we do well with aces, kings, queens, you know, an ace, king, and king, queen. And like ace, queen is doing fine to stack off, but it's like the rest of our range is not super happy, but the stacks are quite short. So it's like this disconnect between hands that are really great and we're happy with is too snug, I think, in my mind, because it's like, dude, you have 1.5 pot size bets left against their full continuing range against a 3-bet, you know? This is assuming, by the way, that they have hands like king 5 suited, that they have hands like jack 8 suited, that they have hands like 9 8 suited. So I think what's happening in my brain as to why I struggle in this spot is that what they should have in theory does not match what people had or have in practice often. You know, like if you play a 2012 poker player, their calling range is so tight, right? It's so tight. They don't have any of these suited hands. They just fold all of them pre-flop. So my brain is playing against that perceived range. And I think probably what I need to get better at to improve in this spot is to better be able to visualize what their flatting range should be. In reality, I think it's tighter than this for sure, which makes like us betting worse because we have less folds in the range, but it's still probably a bet. I think that's what's happening. We fail this spot. Next question. Raise, call, jack 10-6. No backdoors. I think we fold. You know, if we had the king of spades or something, we could do something maybe. Can we see if we had the king of spades? King 8 offsuit. With the king of spades, we continue. So that's down the bottom row, the 3 on the right are with the king of spades, and we don't fold with the king of spades really. We either call or raise. With the 8 of spades, we still fold. So that's it, you know. We need the king of spades to continue in the spot. Next question. Jack 6, raise, call, 8-7-5. We decide to check. I guess we should check raise here, right? Check. Actually, we probably want a spade. We're going to call. We are going to do a lot of check raise, but I think if we check raise, we want a spade in our hand, 30 blinds deep. But it could be both too. No. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if Jack 6 with a spade raises. Let's see if we're right on that theory. Yeah. Again, bottom right, we're raising 46% of the time, 28% of the time, 28% of the time with the Jack of spades. With the 6 of spades, we're raising 70% of the time, we're raising 50% of the time, and we're raising 50% of the time. And then without, we're always calling. So again, it's that suit that's making the difference on whether we check raise or not. Jack 10, raise, call, king 8-7. We have a gutter. We have no spade. They bet 1.4. Now, this is a really small bet, and these small bets got me last time. Call, raise some? Yeah. Because the thing is, people mostly bet like 2 here. And if they bet 2, then we're much closer to folding. But yeah, we need to continue when they bet like 1/4 of the pot. It's too small. You just have to look over these small sizings. These are not small sizings you're going to see in small stakes, right? Like at small stakes, they're just going to bet like 2 or 3, maybe even 4, and then it's just a really easy fold. Against the micro bet sizing, it's like it's so cheap for them to fold out some misses. We need to continue with really junky hands or we're getting exploited, and that's hard to do. So good players really can mess with you by choosing these difficult sizings, you know. Raise 3-bet call, 10-4 deuce on the flop. We bet. I mean, again, I'm thinking just small here. We do have a lot of misses, but I think in just small. I mean, the thing is 13 makes some sense. No, I think we want to bet most of our range in small, right? Think about this 10-4 deuce. I think we want to bet a lot. If we want to bet a lot, we don't want to bet this because we have a lot of hands that miss. That's my thinking, right? Like we can't bet 70% sizing when we have ace king, ace queen, ace jack, king jack, queen jack, when we have 8-7 suited. Some frequency, not all the time. We can't do that. So we must go small, but we must basically almost range bet here. Yeah, range bet. Okay. Well, we got there in the end. That's good. I mean, that's a better thought process. Let's go to the next hand. Raise call. We're out of position 9-8-6. So with a check, I think. Check is good, yeah. With a check, very little betting here. We're only betting 13% of the time on this board. That is not so good for us. And we will probably check raise a lot. Yeah, check raise our overpairs and some of our draws, and then check call some stuff and check fold a lot too. 5-4, raise call, 8-4-3 on the flop. They bet 5.3. It's a big bet. I think just call against the big bet sizing, which is polarized. We're not going to fold, so it's going to be call or raise. We still do raise a little bit with the big bet sizing, mostly 8x though. And then some flush draws. Yeah, okay, cool. Cool. It's a different story. If it's a small bet, we can check raise more than this, but raise call and queen 6 deuce. Some check, some bet. I lean towards bet though, and honestly, I can see all 3 sizing here. Small and check. My thinking is just like we have a strong range under the gun, raising on 15 blinds. Board is so dry that we can just like bet jam, but goes for small bet or check. Okay. And I think last hand of the quiz, raise call. We call in the small blind. We have an opportunity to lead here. I still think we mostly want to check. It is going to lead. Small blind is going to lead some. It's a bit of a niche spot, I'd say. But yeah, we can lead with top set here. I think check is okay too, because people are gonna they're gonna overdo it with the C bet on this board. I think check raise makes some sense, but we can also lead. 30 blinds deep is a good argument too. Okay, 74, not bad. Not suggesting they would deliberately lead people astray. I assume they are operating in good faith, but after listening to Andrew Brokos, I sort of recognize the art, more the science of setting up the initial solver inputs. It doesn't take away from your point about learning what the logic and the actual percentages. Pointing out, I feel the solvers have taken us a long way, but there's probably way further to go, right? I mean, even looking at this, are we really, if you take it to chess, are studying the opening? Yeah, so like when we're giving solver inputs, we are... You know, we're choosing sizings and coming up with a strategy for those sizings, right? So let's load a tree. Let's do one simple. Button versus big blind, 20 blinds deep, right? Button versus big blind, open it up, 20 blinds deep. We can just choose whatever flop, 9-5-4, right? And here's our strategy. 20 blinds, raise on the button, call on the big blind, flop comes down, 9-5-4. What do we do? And here's the solver, right? Check, and we give it these 2 sizings. There's 55 in the middle, so it can bet 16 into 55, or it can bet 44 into 55. And those are the 2 sizings we chose, for example. Right, but we could do something like this where we give it, instead of 30-80, let's remember what this is, right? So we're going to bet, 58% of the time here? 58% of the time with these 2 sizings on this 9-5-4, right? So let's give it some different sizing options and then just see how things change, right? So instead of 30-80, let's give it 20-50-90. And let's just run this. I think we were betting 59% in the original one, so let's just see how it changes when we give it slightly different sizings, you know? And it'll probably change like a percentage or 2, but it's not a big deal, right? Like some of the makeup of it will change a little bit, but I don't think we're implementing perfect solutions. And this is, of course, making an assumption about this range. If we adjust this range a little bit, then like everything's going to change, right? So yeah, like yes, we're making assumptions about our opponents. If they start to play in ways that aren't very good to deviate, well, they're going to lose money in other, it's like whack-a-mole, right? If they do something different, they might get us in this part of this part where we're set up for this assumption and they do something else, but then it's going to create a hole somewhere else, where somewhere else they're having issues. So I don't think that's particularly a huge problem, I guess. So anyways, we gave it 3 sizings here. What happened? All of a sudden, when we give it 3 sizings, we have check go way down in percentage because we've given it this bigger sizing here, this bet 50, like bet pot. And now we see a split between these 3 sizings. So we saw 41% check, and now that we add a smaller size, a much smaller size and a much bigger size, we see a lot less checks. So, I mean, what's the takeaway from this, right? It's like, well, we're not going to copy and paste this, but we're understanding like on 954, our opponent's range carries a bunch of junk, right? And our range also has a lot of misses, but has a lot of good hands. So we have a range advantage in the spot because they didn't they don't have all the pairs, right? They don't have all the big strong hands, and we both have equally a bunch of this junk up here. So question is a human going to be able to split range 3 sizes in every spot? Absolutely not. Most humans can't do 2. So this is not a useful output, right? Which is like why when I built some trees, I did it with 2 sizes, right? Because I think 2 is enough. So let's go button versus big blind, 60 blinds deep. Let's choose a king 8-4 with a flush draw. I built it with 2 sizes. But it's like, I don't think it's to copy this because I don't think that's useful. It's to understand what's going on in these spots. The gun checks. We range bet king 8-4 with spades. Button versus big blind. I mean, I miss this, dude. I definitely find some checks here, so I'm screwing this up. It's a bet of like 1/3, right? 15, 30, 45. Bet of like 35% here, I think. And 44 is 80%. I think 80%. 35%, 80%, or check. But yeah, see, I haven't, like this, these are not optimal sizes, sample fish, right? Like these aren't choose the optimal sizes. I think you can get to the optimal size by running a bunch of different sims with numbers that are really close together with like 6 options, but then you need to use huge computers and run things for a really long time to get the most efficient bet sizing and then run it with that. That's not my purpose here with this. This is just like for quick reference. When I play a pot and I'm not sure really what I want to do, I just have a resource of like, I can look stuff up, Running this was all about someone asking like what if the sizings are off? And my point was essentially, and that's what you're saying here. It was you actually that asked there. My point is like, that's not what I'm trying to get here, right? Like I'm not memorizing on queen 8-4, this is what we're doing. I'm understanding the underlying principles and then applying it.